Hi, folks. I'm Dr. Emily Scherning with American Resiliency. I'm here to talk with you today about some recent federal announcements related to climate resilience, and we're going to do a little bit of fact checking there. So, it has big few weeks in terms of federal announcements on climate resilience. We've seen the unveiling of the American Climate Corps. And I mean, like, it is a good program here. I'm going to have the sign up form so that anyone, particularly a young person who's interested in working in resilience or adaptation, can figure out how to get involved there. They talk about this program having echoes of the New Deal. However, it only involves like 20,000 people. That is not a New Deal size investment, right? That is not a national infrastructure size level of investment. And then last week, I heard from a friend just a few days ago about the announcement of the new National Climate Resilience Framework. And I was kind of surprised that I hadn't heard about that it took hearing from a friend who's higher up involved in like federal hierarchies to hear about that. And look, when you look for it, when you search for it, you don't get like a web page or anything, and you get a lot of general information. Let's check out this PDF. Let's check out this big federal announcement. So it's this 30-page document. It's official White House publication. And it talks about some stuff that is good. You know, it talks about the fact that the government is going to be taking a nature-based solutions approach, which means they're going to be focused on wetlands restoration, very good for groundwater recharge. They're going to be focused on living coastlines, very good for coastal resilience and acceptance of change. But the more I got into this, the more like concerned I was about the substance of this announcement. And let me show you a few examples. On page 10, when we talk about our climate resilience framework at the national level requiring the disclosure of climate risks, we're talking here about proposed rules related to disclosing information on climate risks. When we talk about taking steps forward in zoning to make sure that people's homes are likely to be safe from climate change, they talk about zoning passed by the city council in Norfolk, Virginia, an area that is a known epicenter for climate resilience and action because of the extreme threats that it faces from sea level rise and saltwater incursion. But mentioning one city's zoning ordinance in the national framework to me seems rather ominous, right? Like that's not a national level plan. And then we get to what really like concerns me, which is this section on information. You know, information is what I'm interested in. Helping convey scientific information to the general public is my career passion. When I look at this section, I, of course, want to acknowledge that the federal government provides extremely important source texts. When we look at the 50 State Project, that was based on the fourth National Climate Assessment. And I think that many of us here on this channel are extremely excited for the upcoming release of the fifth National Climate Assessment with its updated risk maps, its updated climate projection atlas that'll help us to get the information we need to get ready. I've heard from hundreds of people that the first place that they found accessible, community oriented information around climate risks was here on this small YouTube channel. To me, a call for more federal investment in information and communication would be fantastic. But I'm very concerned by what I see here, which focuses mostly on the importance of existing translation services, which we know are not doing enough. Otherwise, we would know about this stuff. Otherwise, maybe there would be a landing page for this supposedly major federal announcement instead of a free floating PDF. But let's calm down. I want to take a second and look at the Climate Mapping for Resilience and Adaptation portal, which is advertised as one of the excellent sources of community-focused information on this the federal platforms. So let's look at that. This is the CMRA. It lets us look at climate hazards in real time. We can see it's a beautiful website. It looks like a pretty expensive website, right? Gives real-time maps around climate hazards. Like here, if you want to see where drought is in the US, there you go. So this is, if you want to see where active wildfires are, populates every day. So this is useful, right? It gives a good big picture view. But let's drill down on what it's going to tell you about hazards in your community. And because Norfolk, Virginia is such an important community related to climate, they have been remaking themselves related to sea level rise. They're changing the footprint of their city. What does the CMRA have to say about Norfolk, Virginia today and in the future? We can look at mid-century projections really easily. You just type in and then check it out. You can look at early century, mid-century, late century. Oh, looking at flooding, from these figures, we see, another 2-3 inches of rain expected, maybe less if emissions are higher. Half day of really wet days expected. Looks fine. Coastal inundation, less than 1% of the county is going to be impacted. So, like, is this giving us an accurate picture of the climate risks for Norfolk, Virginia? I mean, like, this is obviously not at all giving us an accurate picture of climate risks. And this is the portal that is being promoted as our way forward to help communities prepare. I'm sure you can tell that I'm pretty cheesed off because I am. We deserve better than this. So look, I'm fully aware that this is just a small organization and just a small YouTube channel, but I'm doing my best to try to fill this gap because there's a real need for accessible, understandable information about climate resilience that doesn't soft shoe it, that lets you and your community actually prepare for what's coming and actually look within 20 or 30 minutes at what your most serious resilience challenges are and how to move forward. And I want to share with you a little bit about what I've been doing over the last 2 years. Because, like you saw in that national framework, there's really not going to be additional funding for the sort of communication work we're doing here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've done and how you can help. Going over to slides now, I want to take a minute to acknowledge and be happy about the fact that American Resiliency is too now. This organization has been operating since September of 2021. And we grew a lot in year 2. In our first year, I totally failed to track unique viewers because I'm not that good at things. And our online audience ended up being about 10,000 people. We didn't run any in-person programs. I was doing a lot of work parsing basic information. In year 2, I was able to focus more on spreading that information, helping people understand what local outlooks actually meant. I gave a lot of talks. I've had 1 hour plus in-person contact with more than 600 people. I've worked with 5,000 to 7,000 people in large format events with, of course, our volunteers supporting these sort of public exhibitions. And online, tracking unique viewers, we've had about 42,000 people visit the channel. Still small in terms of internet, but we are growing. In this year coming up, year 3, I hope that I'm going to be able to provide you with the climate resilience information that you need related to the 5th National Climate Assessment. It's going to be time for us to update those state level videos in terms of staying up to date, in terms of tracking tipping points. If you've been following along on the channel, you know that we've been following this ocean temperature story since the beginning of the summer, and we continue to look at how that is impacting ice, sea level rise, and potential for hitting tipping points as we move through this powerful El Nino cycle into 2024, which is likely to be an extremely disturbing year in climate. We also work to provide you with practical information here on the channel where you can build resilience for your home and your community. In terms of projects that you won't see as much of here on the channel, my partner Carol Anway and I are currently writing a book for release in 2025 aimed at 100-level college courses called Building Climate Resilience in America, where we're going to produce a short, clear primer, not focusing on the debate of is climate change happening, but focusing on expected changes to our country over the next 20 or 30 years, areas of challenge, areas of opportunity, and how young people can work to position themselves for their best possible future. American Resiliency is also involved in providing professional training and culture work in the climate resilience field related to helping climate resilience practitioners understand the communication needs of the general public and helping them learn how to communicate effectively and provide accessible, reasonable, important climate resilience information that communities can act on. I'm leading communication workshops at local levels with land-grant universities to help faculty learn how to talk about climate with the public. This month in Duluth, I'm going to be at the Midwest Regional Climate Resilience Conference, working with other climate practitioners to help them build communication skills. And in May, hopefully, I'll present the same information at the National Adaptation Forum. That is also going to be in Minnesota this time around. American Resiliency also contributes to national projects, such as developing the structure and objectives of the AmeriCorps Rural Resilience Initiative. So we're involved in a many months long process helping to craft a program where young people will help build climate resilience across rural America. It might not shock you to learn that relatively few people working on this project are actually in rural areas like myself through American Resiliency. I hope that I've been able to provide for you explanation of what I'm doing and why I think that it's worth supporting American Resiliency. We've had such an outpouring of help from this community in terms of funding and in terms of volunteer hours, and we do need more help. If you're able to contribute financially, our increased on the ground footprint is expensive. On the ground stuff, in-person stuff needs money. Getting up to Duluth is expensive. Getting out to do training workshops is expensive. The best way that you can give is through PayPal. You can find a donate link on PayPal through my About page on the YouTube channel or at the top line of my website at AmericanResiliency.org. If you're willing to make even a small monthly recurring donation, those are extremely helpful and extremely valued to me. They really contribute to the budget. They help me know what I can expect and how much work I can expect to do on the ground every month. I know that money is tight for a lot of people, and I want you to know that I value other contributions just as much. One thing that's very important is getting the word out. Talking about climate resilience information in your community is important. I think that one thing that these federal announcements really does for it is make it clear climate resilience is mainstream. This is happening. The work that you do online, interacting with the content, also helps drive the algorithm so that more people see this information. And as we prepare for the release of the 5th National Climate Assessment, I want you to think about who could you share information with in different states across the nation as I release the different updated 50 states forecasts. I'm really hopeful that I'll be able to produce content that's worth sharing and that you all can help me get it out there. In terms of other volunteer projects, I would be really interested in getting a Discord server or a subreddit going where we could talk and share news on these topics together. But I'm concerned that it would make me die if I took the workload on for that myself. If I could get a team of 4 or 5 people who were interested in moderating, I think that we could get that off the ground. And I hear from people very frequently who have an interest in that kind of a space. I would also love to hear from anyone who would be interested in being a draft reader as I start preparing the intensely researched drafts for the 50 States Project as soon as the National Climate Assessment is released. If you are a person who is interested in verifying sources and helping me check my references, I could really use 2 draft readers and checkers so that we can get the 50 States Project's updated forecasts out quickly without compromising quality. I will also need on-the-ground volunteers to help me with exhibitions for spring. I've been doing a lot of exhibition work here in Iowa. If you live somewhere else, and you probably do, you should get in touch with me anyway. I would love to put together a locally relevant exhibition with you, providing local groundwater information, which is a powerful point to begin for climate resilience with most communities across the US. As a final note, if your community is interested in hearing from me in a talk or a workshop focused on locally targeted relevant information, I've been doing 2 or 3 talks a month. I'm always happy to take more requests. I'm glad to work online or in person if it's a reasonable traveling distance. I want to hear from you and I want to help your community get tapped into climate resilience. In closing, I just want to say thank you. Year 2 has been a really amazing experience getting to help AR grow, getting to help climate resilience information get into the hands of tens of thousands of Americans. I'm really hopeful for what we can do in year 3. I really appreciate any help that you can give me, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next. And I do want to take a moment to advertise our community chat. We're going to be talking about climate destinations and housing issues on October 22nd. That's a Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time. You can see the Zoom meeting link is there. I'll post it afterwards. And I really enjoy the opportunity to talk with you and discuss these issues together. Thanks for joining me. We're moving into year 3. Let's get ready.